Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gambling and Rambling. This is week 11 of the NFL season. We're going to go into a full breakdown of the DFS main slate, cover all the games, give you go game by game, and give you our best plays from each game. And again, I don't have my laptop, so I'm just recording this on my phone. I have no access to the salary, so I'm just definitely going to be relying on some help here, but we'll hand it off to Alex to kind of host it here.
All right. Yeah, kicking off the first game here on the main slate, we got Houston going into Tennessee. Corey, what do you like from this matchup?
This is an interesting matchup. We talked about it on yesterday's episode of how we don't think the Titans, well, at least in my opinion, won't cover the 10.5 or at least the 10 point spread. I can't remember what the over under on this game was. I think it was around like 46, something like that. So Vegas, I mean, it's not the lowest total. It's not the highest total by any means either. But there's some pretty good plays here. Tennessee's secondary, their defense in general has been playing a little bit better these past couple of weeks. But they still have the same players out there. And, earlier in the year, they were getting torched in the secondary. So with that being said, on the Houston side, I like two plays, and one is going to be Brandon Cooks at 6K. And then the other one, surprisingly, even after one game, Tyrod Taylor still at the 5,000 range, which is very odd, especially for DraftKings. Usually after they start one game, they're at least, put up to at least 5.5K. So I'm surprised they didn't move him there. I know he had a stinker game, but like we said earlier in the year, he was keeping games close and he was putting up pretty good stat numbers. So I like those two plays on the Houston side of the ball.
Nick, you got any plays on Tennessee here?
Man, I'm scrolling. There's not too many I like. Did we see anyone really break out last week on Tennessee playing that wide receiver 2 spot? Like, do you think we could go back to that? Well,
yeah,
Marcus Johnson.
Marcus Johnson had 3 points.
Marcus Johnson. That's what I was looking for. I can't even find him.
3,500.
Yeah, he's really cheap.
Yeah. I think he's
3,500. I mean, I think that's a good play for 3,500. I mean, if he's going to be wide receiver 2 for that cheap, I think that's a great play if you need a cheap option. I don't know. I mean, Brandon Cooks is always good for 6K. He'll get you over 10 points. I don't know if he's going to break out for 30 points this game, but we'll see.
PB.
I really like Corey's plays right off the bat. I like Brandon Cooks a ton this week. The Titans defense has kind of taken the lead for being the worst defense against the receiver position. We saw Trevor Siemian throw for almost 300 just every week. It used to be Washington. Now it's been the Titans. And I know it's crazy that they've still been able to win games even with that. But yeah, I think Brandon Cooks, who already has one of the largest target shares in the league, coming out of the bye, I really like Brandon Cooks. And Tyrod Taylor when I went through the player pool for quarterbacks, he was one of the only cheap options that I like this week. I'm kind of going to stick to probably some of the more expensive quarterbacks this week, but Tyrod Taylor is going to be in my player pool. Don't really like anyone on the Titans side, which is wild to say because they are facing the Texans. But I mean, it's hard not to have a little interest with AJ Brown. It's just, AJ Brown seemed like he was a better play when Julio's there and Derrick Henry's there because teams are a little more focused on some of the other players, and it opens up a lot for him. But now, the Texans' game plan, it should all just be completely shut down AJ Brown. I mean, the Saints did that last week. AJ Brown had one catch for 16 yards. I think the Texans' game plan, coming out of the bye is just all they have to do because, it's Adrian Peterson and Dante Foreman. I guess Foreman's cheap. I think McNichols is going to be out this week with a concussion. And so I think Foreman is probably a better option than AP, has more upside at least.
Yeah, he's at 4,900. So he's only $100 more than AP.
Yeah, and he's probably going to take that pass catch and roll on from McNichols. So I don't know. It's hard to pick a Titans guy, but if I'm playing Tyrod and Cooks, I feel like I want to have at least one of them for a game stack. So if I had to pick, honestly, I don't mind that Marcus Johnson call because kind of what happened with the Saints. Focus on AJ Brown, and it opens up some stuff for him.
Yeah.
AJ Brown being 7,700, you'd think it's more of a for sure lock, but the thing I don't like about him is he put up 2 30-point games in a row, and then the past 2 weeks he hasn't broken 10. I know he played the Rams and then the Saints, so he's had some, really good cornerback in Jalen Ramsey, and you saw him not produce very much last week against a decent quarterback in Marshawn Lattimore, but I feel like Marcus Johnson's just a better play here if you have to pick a Tennessee receiver, especially for the price.
Yeah.
I think people are just able to focus so much on Brown now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like a
It's
lot.
only playmaker.
A lot of other receivers around his price tag there, all the way up at 8K.
I know. Yeah.
Be staying away from him. Like the Marcus Johnson play, if you need like a punt at the end of a lineup, 3.5K is not bad for a number 2 receiver on a decent offense.
So my only issue with I would say red flag is that for the Tennessee receivers, besides AJ Brown, so you got Chester Rogers, Marcus Johnson, and Westbrook Nikini, they're all within 35, 35, 33. I just get worried. Marcus Johnson, he was on the Colts for the last 3 years. He was like their practice squad deep ball threat player. He never got a chance to play. I liked him when he was with the Colts. So it looks like he's kind of emerging as that, that deep ball type of player. But there's just a lot of moving parts there, and it could be, you never know, it could be a Chester Rogers week. So I just would, throw caution in the wind there. Just be careful. And then for Houston, it's Brandon Cooks, and then it drops off to Chris Conley, Nico Collins, and Danny Amendola.
Yeah.
So I know they're all very gross plays, but if you're expecting the Titans, the game script, the Titans winning this game or leading at least, there's going to be multiple pass catchers on the field for the Houston Texans. So I'm not saying don't play any of them, but just take a look. I mean, Damian Amendola last game had 7 targets, and before that he had 5 and 5. So
he just has you. The reason why Marcus Johnson's a tournament play is because he, like you said, he can catch a long one. Amendola does not have upside. You can't. I mean, he doesn't have any upside. There's no ceiling.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying in tournament games. I'm just saying it's just a look at. So, but okay, I think we've probably spent
too much time on this game.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Moving on. Corey, why don't you take this one away? We got Indy heading into Buffalo. What do you like here?
I mean, obviously the easiest thing to say is any Buffalo Bills receivers at this point. But I'm going to take just stay with me here for just a second. Okay. So if the Colts have any chance to make the playoffs, they have to, they got to win games. So this is probably the hardest game left on their schedule that they play. With that being said, at his price tag, he's going to be overlooked a lot, and he's not going to be touched a lot. And it's a flyer. I'm going to play him in a couple tournaments just because of the fact that he is our best player. And Jonathan Taylor at 8,300. This is a tournament play only. He's going to be sub 5% owned easily because of the matchup. But as we've seen, he keeps producing. He keeps getting 100 yards and at least a touchdown in the last 6 or 7 games. So I'm not saying you throw him in your cash lineup and lock him into everything. I'm saying as a dart throw, large field tournament where you have to be different. There's 200,000 players playing. A lot of people are going to pass on Jonathan Taylor and move down the line. So that's all I'm saying. I like him just of the player and his, his quality of play at 83.
I don't hate where your head's at either. I think you see a lot in the NFL. If you're facing a juggernaut of an offense, you run the ball and you try and, bleed the clock out as much as you can, limit their possession, the number of possessions they have. So I think the Colts stick to Colts football and they stay on brand with Jonathan Taylor and the run game. But what do you think about Naheem? What do you think about him, Corey?
So the only way Naheem Hines becomes relevant is if the game script is in the hands of the Buffalo Bills and the Colts are playing from behind. he is the main passing back there, and he does his change of pace. But at 4,300, that's just it's too much of a risk to spend that on a pass catcher who, he might get 5 targets, like 4 catches and like 40, like
limited
30.
ceiling.
It's just I just don't trust it. If I was going to play the Colts and I'm just the game script you played in your head, you make a story up, you go with it. Colts try to bleed the clock, like we've talked about. Jonathan Taylor gets 18 plus carries and 100 yards and a touchdown could help, and it could be in a tournament play.
That wouldn't even be enough though in a tournament.
Yeah, and I think for that price too, you got to go with T-Y.
Oh no, Nick! Don't even.
They might need some deep balls. They're gonna need some magic to happen if they're gonna take down the Bills. They need that whole veteran.
The magic's not gonna happen.
Tape up that hamstring, Ty, and like get out there and make some plays like you used to. That being said, I don't want to talk anymore about Colts players. I think it's pretty risky against that defense. But this game has Manny Sanders written all over it to me, almost as obvious as PB's receding hairline in that hat. But yeah. Sorry, bud.
Keep going.
Oh my God.
No, I like
it's the back of the head. It's not here. It's all good right here.
Don't worry.
I know. We're just playing. I had to get you back for the whole Saints thing yesterday. But I think you could play any of these Bills receivers and have a nice day. So,
dude, Cole Beasley at 4,800 just seems like
who?
Cole Beasley is at 4,800.
No, I'm with Nick on the secondary. I think on the Colts side, you do not play a single Colts receiver. If you do play someone, I guess fine. Jonathan Taylor. That's if the Colts somehow beat the Bills, it would be in the run game. That's, I guess, the weakest point of like how you'd attack the Bills, I guess. But on the Bills side, Stephon Diggs, incredible play. I'm going to have a bunch of him. Josh Allen, one of the best quarterback plays on the slate. I'm going to have a bunch of him. And then Emmanuel Sanders is going to be the leverage bill play. So I'm going to come in overweight on Emmanuel Sanders this week. He just hasn't really put up some big games recently. But he gets looks in the red zone. And that's some of the most valuable looks you can get, especially in fantasy. So, yeah, I'm going to have a lot of Josh Allen stacks here with those two players.
We got any love for Gabriel Davis if Cole Beasley doesn't play? 3.9.
A little bit. If Beasley's out, I'd have a little interest in him.
Yeah, that was the only other name here. Maybe Dawson Knox at 4K. Could see.
Yeah,
he was a top 5 tight end before he got hurt.
Tight end.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Do get beat by that position.
Yeah.
Don't play any Bills running backs. Don't play Singletary or Kamara.
Yes.
Big Bobby O is going to lock that down with Darius Leonard. You don't want to play that. Split backfield, good run stoppers. No way.
Yeah. All right.
Moving on. We got New Orleans at Philadelphia. PB, why don't you start us off here?
Yeah, so you're not playing a single Eagle. We'll start off with that. There's literally no good Eagles plays at all. And then, even if people were considering Devontae Smith, like if he was in the 4K range, you would I still personally wouldn't play him, but you could at least consider him being in the upper 5K range like he is now going against Lattimore.
6,400.
6,400.
He's 6,400?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
DraftKings has him at 6,400, and it also has the opponent rank on the Saints as 28th.
I don't care what DraftKings has on the opponent rank. Look at the matchup. He's going against Marshawn Lattimore. So I guess if you're playing an Eagle, you're playing Quez Watkins or Jalen Reagor. Those would be better plays than Devontae Smith, especially if Devontae Smith's going to be high owned this week. I somehow, when I look at ownership projections, when I get my laptops fixed and I can bring up those projections, I really hope Devontae Smith comes in high owned. There's no Lattimore's locked down pretty much every receiver he's played this year. And then on the Saints side, I haven't liked attacking the Eagles secondary all year. If Kamara is out again. I will playing some Ingram again. And then Adam Troutman is going to be my sleeper tight end play this week. So the Eagles, again, all year long, that's the one team. If they're on the slate, I play that tight end against the Eagles. So last week it was Fant, and then Fant still had like 12 points, but Albert O caught like a 70-yard catch. And the week before that, it was the Chargers tight ends that all three of them had amazing games. Every week, the Eagles just get torched by tight ends. So, and Troutman's been getting like 7, 6, 7 or something, like 3 straight games. He's getting more involved. 6, 7, 6. He's getting more involved. And so that is the one. So the Mark Ingram and Troutman are really my only plays from this game.
Nick, what are you thinking? Anything else here?
I mean, I like Devonta Smith. He's put up 2 20-plus games here.
Can I play you in a head-to-head this week, please? As much money as you'd like. As much money as you like. Let's play it. You have to make sure you get Devonta Smith in there.
Sounds good. I don't think there's any, need to go Rocky round 2 here with the Marshawn Lattimore matchup. But I don't think you could play any of the Saints wide receivers, so I actually don't hate the Troutman play. They either need to get like a new brand of gloves or maybe just like spend some time on the jugs machine. They don't know how to catch. It's like kind of sad. They might be fast, but like they're really bad at playing wide receiver. So I guess you would have to play Troutman if you have to play anyone. I honestly don't really like anyone besides Devonta Smith in this one.
Or anything to add?
I mean, it's just it's a really bad game for fantasy, and there's just. I mean, if you really
both teams like to run the ball too. This is like a classic under spot. What's the over under at?
It is
44.
Both teams are going to want to.
40.
Is it?
43. Oh yeah, so it is already pretty low, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, running backs for the Eagles. I mean, Miles Sanders is coming back probably, but I mean, they're finally figuring out they should probably run the ball, but. It's just not going to match up. So I don't really have anything else to add.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kamara is limited, even if he does play. It sounds like he's still kind of hurting. So I think Ingram here, like PB said, is definitely a good play at 5.4K. So moving on to the Dust Bowl of the week, we've got the Dolphins heading into New York to take on the Jets. Corey, kick it off. What do you got here?
Is there any interest in Joe Flacco at 4,600 starting this game?
I literally wrote that question out too. I was like, is anyone
none?
Zero.
It just I mean, we do talk about, finding, I mean, he's past his prime, obviously. He was the fourth depth position on the Jets at quarterback after being traded there. So I really don't understand that move. I guess question is, why is Tua
cheap?
Why is he so cheap against? I know he's still Tua. He's at 55.
Oh yeah, he is too cheap.
I'm confused if DraftKings still thinks he's kind of banged up. With his finger is still limited. I mean, it's not like he's lighting the NFL on fire this year. He has 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. I mean, I understand he's been banged up, but it's still kind of odd to place a starting quarterback at that role, at that price position. And then his main person he throws to, Jalen Waddle, at 5,600 is so odd because he's been playing pretty well.
It's 10 plus targets a game.
12, 10, 6. He had 29 yards, 83 yards, 61 yards. He hasn't really scored. It's
because his ADOT is. Sometimes it can be so low, like they just get him right on the outside, like he's catching it on like the line of scrimmage, and it's everything is yards after the catch. So
they also haven't been playing the Jets defense every week. So like at 5.6K with the amount of times he's going to touch the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I like those 2 plays. I know there's more plays in here. Kind of a dart throw for the Miami wide receiving core. Without Parker, Fuller. You get Albert Wilson or Matt Collins at 31 or 3,000. It's just a look at.
No.
Okay. Too much of a reach, my guy.
Yeah.
Last week against Baltimore, Albert Wilson, 5 yards or 4 receptions, 87 yards. I mean, he had a 64-yard long catch.
12
So
points.
saying,
Not going to do you a tournament.
okay, if that 64-yard touchdown went, or if that 64-yard catch went for a touchdown, then he's immediately in the Millie Maker lineup because of how cheap he is.
But you have to realize if you're going to play a play like that, play it when you know they're going to be like getting beat when the Dolphins, and not against the Jets who they're supposed to win against, where they're actually, where the game script favors them.
I understand. I'm touching all points here.
Yeah, I want to jump in here with someone. I don't know if we've ever really talked about him, but rookie running back for the Jets, Michael Carter. Coming into the pros, he had his pro comparison was Nick Chubb. He's just a hard-nosed runner. He keeps his legs moving until he's dragged to the ground. And I think he's in a good system too. We got Robert Saleh coming off of the San Francisco Shanahan run-heavy offense, and I think he's bringing that into his own playbook here for the Jets. I know, not a sexy pick, but for $5,600, I think you get a really good running back. And given that Joe Flacco is going to play, I think we see a little uptick in volume this week. And even something to note just on that run game. Ty Johnson, the past 4 weeks, has put up 10 points. Not saying to play him, especially in tournaments, but,
And where are you playing him?
What?
You said, I'm not saying playing him, especially in tournaments. Where are you playing him then?
Maybe in a double up.
No.
I don't know.
What in the world?
I don't know. He's going to pay. He's going to pay for his price, but I think his ceiling's low. I'm just trying to say that there is some production. There's some fantasy production coming out of the Jets backfield is ultimately the point I'm trying to make here. So I actually like Michael Carter here.
Okay, so one in our head-to-head, you have to play Devontae Smith and you have to play Ty Johnson. That if you're gonna give a play like that out, you should have just ended with Michael Carter because Michael Carter is a decent play.
I was just trying to make a point that there's significant fantasy production consistently out of the Jets backfield.
Mostly Michael Carter. They've definitely started to use him a lot more. I'm a little hesitant to play him this week because we saw Mike White love to check down to him or all game long. We just don't really know what Joe Flacco is going to do. I mean, maybe he does just continue that. He's washed, just got battled of retirement home a couple weeks ago. He can come play for the Jets again. I don't know. I don't know what Michael Carter is going to do this week. I think Myles Gaskin on the other side of the ball is just probably a better play because Ty Johnson at least splits with Carter a bit. Gaskin pretty much has the entire backfield, and he has the much better matchup against the Jets, who have one of the worst run defenses in the league. So I think Gaskin's a little sneaky running back play, and I don't really have anything else from this game.
Yeah, I got nothing to add here. Waddle, I think, is a great play at 5.6K. And both running backs seem to be an option here.
Sorry, keep going. I was just gonna say, we obviously with Joe Flacco playing, we don't know the kind of game script he's going to be playing. I mean, he's going out he's probably gonna retire this year. Do you think he just goes out and just runs the ball?
Yeah, just going out in style.
I mean,
no.
Here's the thing.
I don't either.
Joe Flacco going out in style is him throwing the ball 60 yards down the field and getting a pass interference call, which gets no points for anyone. So
maybe an Elijah Moore play.
I was just thinking Jameson Crowder. I mean, he's 4,700. He's just he catches. I mean, his entire career has just been a 15 target type of person. Like I said, I don't know how Joe Flacco is going to play or the game script they're going to have for him. So, I mean, don't play him, but I was just kind of curious to see everyone's thoughts were on.
Not many plays from this game. Play max probably one play from this game.
Yeah.
All right. Enough on the Dust Bowl here. We got Washington heading into Carolina. I think there's a couple of good plays here. I mean, CMC under 9K is just chalk. He's definitely back. He's healthy again. We're going to see probably Cam starting. So decent amount of chemistry there and check downs and, Cam not throwing the ball too far downfield. Sleeper play I've got here is on the other side of the ball. If Ricky Seals-Jones doesn't play, John Bates is going to be their tight end one. I think you could see a couple of targets here in the red zone. We've seen Heineke like to go to his big dogs near the end zone. So what is he at here?
Probably 2,500, right?
Yeah, 2.5K. So, I think a fairly decent punt play at the tight end position there, which would allow you to obviously get in some higher salary guys at better positions. Nick, what are we thinking here?
I think easily, and maybe one of my favorite plays on the whole slate this week is going to be $4,600 Robbie Anderson. You kind of mentioned it, Alex. Cam Newton can't throw the ball very far. Robbie Anderson is like the screen pass aficionado. We also saw Cam and Robbie Anderson doing a post-game interview together last week. The chemistry is there. I think they're ready to roll. They're going for that playoff spot. They're probably bumping some ludicrous, going for that number one spot. Am I right? Give me some Robbie Andersons, double ones.
Yeah, you know what? This is such a weird game because DraftKings really doesn't know what to do with Cam Newton. So they're just like, well, he's a starting quarterback, so at least got to be 5K. So they put him at 5,100. Again, we don't know how well Cam Newton's going to know the offense. It's a different offense than when he was there. So it's a little risky play to even attempt to play Cam Newton at 5,100. But DJ Moore's, I think this is the first time he's under 6K almost all the entire year at 5,900. He's obviously the number one receiver there. I really, really do like that play on that side. And then to bring it back on the Washington side, you can always play, Terry McLaurin. He's a little banged up right now. And the Carolina's defense is probably one of the better ones in the league against receivers. So I just don't see much value, on the Washington side this week.
I don't really think there's really any. I guess your John Bates play, like if he's really like at the bare minimum, like a punt tight end play that is honestly probably like cash game viable, because he's like, you have McLaurin and then the tight end. That's like Heineke's favorite targets. But I don't like McLaurin going against Carolina. I think McLaurin's a great player, but just really bad matchup. It's kind of like the AJ Brown situation. Like teams just know just to shut him down, and that's what they focus on. Carolina does have a pretty solid defense, but on the Carolina side, it's looking like from what I have been looked up a little bit on the slate, it seems like Cam Newton might be like the cash game quarterback for a lot of people.
5.1K
because of his rushing upside. Like, and we already went into it in the last show how much I think Cam, like, I don't think he's an upgrade over Darnold or PJ Walker at all a ton. But when you can get a rushing quarterback at that price, I'm not completely ruling it out. Cam's one of those players that's hard to stack him with too. Like when he was like better in his previous years in DFS, Cam was one of those guys you could play with no pass catchers. And because he rushed for so many touchdowns, you could play naked quarterback and you could win a tournament. McCaffrey though, you might not. Okay, what do you guys think McCaffrey splits, like his average PPR points with and without Cam are?
I would say with Cam, they are higher than what they were without Cam.
Okay. Without Cam, he averaged almost 27 PPR points a game. With Cam, 19 and a half.
Wow.
Because Cam vultures so much at the goal line.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I actually don't like McCaffrey as much. He's still but again, last game Cam didn't play really. He still vultured some of McCaffrey's touchdowns, but he only played a little bit. And now playing a full game, and Washington, you attack them more through the air with Moore and Anderson than you do on the ground. So I don't actually have a whole lot of interest in McCaffrey this week. I've been on DJ Moore all year, like just waiting for that game. And he had a few at the beginning, and same with Robbie Anderson. And it's going to be really hard for me not to have a little bit of them both against this Washington secondary, which I've been targeting all year. So I'll probably have to sprinkle a little of them both. But I don't know if Cam really comes out where he's going to be like crazy owned, like 35% owned or something. And like everyone's playing him tournaments. Tyrod Taylor is just going to be my leverage off of him. Like I think Tyrod could easily mobile quarterback going also against a terrible defense. And he's going to be one of my favorite cheap leverage quarterbacks off Cam. So,
yeah, I think this is just like, we could see a revenge game for Cam Newton, scorched earth.
But you can't do scorched earth when you're just not good anymore.
Well, I mean, you could have one good game in there, but all right.
That's a couple of rushing touchdowns for Cam. That's what it sounds like is happening. Moving on, we've got kind of another dust bowl here. Detroit at Cleveland. Looks like it's going to be a rainy day there in Ohio. Nick, Browns buddy, take it away.
Oh, it's raining in Cleveland from the sky or not. We saw an article come out this morning from Cleveland's very own Mary Kay Cabot, very famous beat reporter. Myles Garrett walked out of practice. Him and Stefanski got into it after, he had some candid feedback for his defensive coordinator, Joe Woods, who I also think is a huge problem. 6 games, there's been 30 or more points scored against the Browns. So knowing that, play Jared Goff. No, I'm just kidding. Don't ever do that. I don't actually think anyone should play anyone from this game. I'm not gonna set anyone up for success by saying any player. So I'm gonna defer punt, which is probably what we're gonna see a lot of this week.
Dude, this is when you play Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is going to go like rush the ball 25
if he plays
times. He's going to play.
I think he's playing.
Yeah, he's going to clear the COVID-19 protocol. I mean, he's arguably one of the better backs in the NFL. And last time he played was Cincinnati. He had 14 attempts, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean,
he could shoulder this team if he does play. All right, I'll say Nick Chubb if he plays.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Chubb is definitely
he's cheap though too. He's in the 6K range, isn't he?
No, he's 7,800. He's
he's 7,800.
Yeah, he's very expensive.
It's the Lions.
I was gonna say if he's in the 6,000 range, it's really tough not to play him.
If he doesn't play, Dearness Johnson 5,600. So you play that because Dearness Johnson, obviously we saw last week, is a good running back as well behind that Cleveland own line. But I think Chubb is like probably one of my favorite players on the slate when he plays. I mean, we talked about the Lions, how bad they are for defense, and they're bad. So, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of points scored in this game. So I'm just gonna, in that case, just stick with the running backs who touch the ball more often than any other player on the field.
I don't even know if Baker's playing. I'm reading right now. He sat out today with a foot, knee, and torn labrum, obviously. So, kid's banged up.
Like pieced together.
Yeah, he belongs in a hospital right now. He doesn't belong on a football field.
Someone lend that guy some duct tape. He's got to just patch himself back into place. It's been a tough one.
Yeah, it's Chubb for me. Browns defense. That's I think it.
Alex?
Yeah, I was the only thing I was going to play here was Browns defense, but after that Myles Garrett report, I'm kind of shying away from them a little bit. It is still the Lions, so whoever they're playing, that other defense is always playable. But other than that, probably staying away from this.
Right.
Team that I do think I will have some plays in though is
hang on before we move on really quick. The last time the Lions did not play a starting quarterback and their backup quarterback came was David Blau, and he played on Thanksgiving of last year, and I'm pretty sure he had 450 yards passing and 3 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. He was like the slate breaker on the Thanksgiving.
Yeah, he was. He's 4K.
No, but he's I don't even think it's him. It's like Tim Boyle or something.
And that guy's on IR. That guy's on. It'd be him. It's David Plow or Steven Montez, who I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was Boyle coming off of IR but we'll see.
Oh, well, yeah, he is. You're right. Never mind.
Maybe do play the Browns defense.
Yeah. Tim Boyle.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. They said that he's their number 2 quarterback.
Although, like, every backup quarterback that has played this year has just like absolutely exploded. Look at Mike White. Like, who would have thought?
Yeah,
I'm ruling nothing out at this point. I think you just fade this game.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, moving on. We got 49ers going into Jacksonville, taking on the Jags. I absolutely love Kittle this week. 6.3K is not enough for a guy who puts up and has been the last 2 weeks putting up his numbers against the Jaguars. I think there's some other plays here, but that is definitely my lock at tight end this week. I think some of the other plays here, I'll let you guys tease them out. PB, why don't you kick it off?
I think if Elijah Mitchell's out, Jeff Wilson is a great running back play this week. I think this is another 3, there's some weeks where it's like a 3 wide receiver where the flex position, you use it for your receiver. Just like last week where I made sure I had 3 running backs in every lineup I made. This is going to be another one of those weeks, I think. I think there's too much value on the running back side, too many good running back plays compared to the receiver position. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, and Wilson's one of these running backs. I think going against the Jaguars, who actually they have a better run defense than people give them credit for. But if Jeff Wilson, like we know what the 49ers are trying to do, and it's run the ball. And if Mitchell's out, they obviously hate Sermon, so it's going to be Wilson pretty much being the feature back there. And as big of a favorite they are, I think Wilson's just too cheap. Kittle, great play. I think I'm going to be paying up at tight end besides Troutman, and then there's maybe one other cheap tight end that we'll talk about. But I kind of like these expensive tight ends this week, and Kittle is definitely one of them. He's looked great coming back from the injury and gets to go against the Jaguars now. Nobody on the Jaguars I have interest in. I don't think I've played a Jaguar this year.
James Robinson?
No, not against the 49ers.
No, just this year. Anyways,
maybe I've played a few James Robinson here and there, but
he's sneaky good. Not this week though. The only person I'm even considering is George Kittle, so I'll third that hype over to Corey.
I was laughed at for my Jamal Agnew play last week, and somebody scored a 68-yard rushing touchdown for the Jags.
What was his final fantasy points?
I think he had like 15 points. I think he had 15 points.
So that's what I'm saying. These players, even with that touchdown, he can't really like win you like a big tournament with that performance.
I mean, you're right. I mean,
he could. I guess there's some slates where a lower scoring slate where none of the chalk hits, and it's we saw that a few weeks ago where like the Millie Maker won with like 180 or 190 points. So those slates, yeah, I guess you can get away with a low owned Agnew scoring 15, but
yeah, I mean, DraftKings might see what I see. They priced him up again to 4,700.
Yeah, just don't.
No, but I'm not a Jamal Agnew fan this week. The only thing I question about the running back situation in San Francisco is they do so much and they use so many different options that yes, the running back usually is the person who touches the ball most. But they run the sweeps. They throw Deebo Samuel back there. So it just kind of scares me, even if Elijah Mitchell is out.
But okay, I'm curious, how many touches did I don't have access to it. How many touches did Mitchell have and Wilson? I'm curious. Mitchell had to have had a ton.
Mitchell had last week against Rams, he had 27 attempts.
And how many did Wilson have?
Wilson, I think he had he had 10.
So
No,
And then Debo Samuel still had like 6. So it doesn't matter. It's just they're a running offense. That's what they do.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, if it just depends on who's back there. I don't know. I just get kind of scared for that position, especially when there's not a dominant running back there. But I mean, Debo Samuel at 7,800. I know he's banged up, but he's literally, besides Kittle, the only other person on that team that touches the ball.
Ayuk is starting to get involved.
He had 4 targets last week. He went from 7, 8 to 4. So he regressed last week against the Rams.
Yeah, but they were playing way ahead.
I know they were, but I'm just saying, like, this is going to be the same game script where they're me playing ahead for the most part. So if you're going to play receiving option besides Kittle, I have interest in Debo Samuel because he also runs the ball as well. But that's the only really plays I have. 49ers defense as well. I'd play. They're 3,700. Jaguars are good for at least 1 or 2 turnovers. So that being said, that's all I got for that.
Yep. All right, on to a game that I absolutely love the options for. We got Green Bay headed into Minnesota, take on the Vikings, interdivision matchup. Corey, why don't you start us off on this one?
I mean, so I read a stat yesterday, which I was very surprised about, or I heard. Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers have not combined for 60 points in fantasy this entire year, which is very surprising considering if Devontae Adams is having a good game, usually means Aaron Rodgers is doing pretty well too.
Has to be.
It's very weird, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers at 7K. I think this is a point where, he wasn't fully healthy last week. He was coming off COVID. He had a hurt toe that he stubbed in his backyard doing, fake 2-minute drills like Russell Wilson was. But I like Aaron Rodgers at 7K if you're going to be paying up for a quarterback. And I know it uses like a quarter of your salary to stack him with Devontae Adams, but it's a game stack that it's so pricey that people maybe will stay away from. And with Aaron Jones being out, who they relied pretty heavily in the short.
Dylan's such a great backup though.
No, I know he is, but he's not Aaron Jones. I mean, so
he might be better than Aaron Jones. It's next man up, running back position. Doesn't matter. Next man up.
It does matter.
He is a great backup though. On top.
But yeah, he's a great play. But DraftKings has him priced up to 6,200. So
I think he's going to be maybe the highest owned player on the slate.
Yeah,
he will be.
The thing is, though, the Green Bay's defense is right now in the top 10 for overall defenses, and they're playing a lot better than the opening game a couple weeks. They were kind of struggling, but they've put it together. So I'm afraid to play Dalvin Cook this week, especially at 8,200. I think I understand he touches the ball a lot, but I think there's just better plays above and below him.
But this is just kind of asking you how you're building. So is Rodgers going to be one of your more higher owned running quarterbacks this week?
Yeah.
So you're going to be playing Adams, but you're going to want a bring back. So who's going to be your bring back in that game?
I think it's been bad the last couple of weeks. But Adam Thielen is still getting a lot of targets, and he's 6,600. And what's his name is? What is Jefferson?
Yeah, he's in the 8,000.
Yeah. So I think you play. I like Thielen to bring it back. I think there's just gonna be a pretty high. I say high scoring. I mean like 30 to 20, something like that. But I think the Vikings are going to be playing from behind, and they're going to score points fast. So I like Thielen.
Thielen gets a lot of red zone looks too from Kirk.
Yeah.
Tons.
Well, Corey, I just want to say that if that's your hill that you're going to stand on this week in tournaments, you're going to have a lot of leverage because, like Alex said, AJ Dillon will most likely be the highest owned, or at least it depends on how, this COVID stuff breaks late and stuff. But as of now, he's going to be one of the highest owned running backs on the slate, and people are going to avoid Rodgers because of that. Like you said, the stack is expensive. So yeah, it's definitely a great tournament option. I think I'm not going to personally be on Rodgers. I just like some other quarterbacks more, but it's a really good leverage spot. I won't deny that. It's one of the best leverage spots on the slate because if Dillon has a bad game, it's probably because Rodgers and Adams are going crazy or something. So it's a good spot. And yeah, if you had to bring it back, I think Jefferson is going to be really, really low owned because no one's going to be wanting to pay that price for Jefferson. Like a Rodgers, Adams, Jefferson game stack is going to be incredibly low owned. Incredibly low owned.
It's so hard to get to anyone else. So
it is. So, and that's why I'm fine. Like your Thielen bring back is great too, because the price has gotten a little crazy between those two, the differential, and Thielen will still be low owned, I think. So, it's still a really good low owned tournament game stack, I think. But personally, I'm going to be playing more Dylan this week. And that's really my only, and of course, Adams, I'm going to have some Adams because it's Devontae Adams. So yeah, that's kind of where I think I'm at in that game. Oh, Dalvin Cook's all right. Packers, their run defense isn't that great, so I do like some Dalvin as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Rodgers Devontae stack here. I think you get a lot of options running it back with someone on the Vikings. I mean, any of those top three guys. Jefferson is probably going to be a little bit tough to fit into that lineup after you got Rodgers and Devontae in there. So I do like the Thielen run back here. But last time the Packers played the Vikings last year, Rodgers went for 364 yards, 4 touchdowns. Devontae had 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I absolutely love that stack this week. And like you're saying, PB, even more to it, it's going to get you a lot of leverage given the higher price. But I think if I had to bank on 2 guys at that high of a price hitting their ceiling, it's those 2 guys in this game.
I have another one, but we'll get there. And it's weird because I'm on a little more of the chalk than I think you guys would, which we'll get to that game. You probably know what game it is, but yeah, that's kind of, I'm going to be living there more.
Nick, you got anything
from this game?
I think we covered it. There's nothing I completely oppose, so let's move on.
One more thing. If I understand, if this over under is, I think, up near the 50 mark. So if you don't think Adams is the play, or you just want to fade Adams, I mean, the next highest receiver for the Packers is Cobb and then Lazard. And Lazard,
MVS. I forgot about mentioning it. I think MVS is a really good, because he's the tournament player, right? Because he catches the long ones.
Yeah, he's 3,700, but I think he's after his injury, he's kind of just lost his snap count to Randall Cobb. As much as I know Cobb is the short receiving play, but I mean, if you don't want to go the Adams route, I think you could maybe get away with playing one of those 3. I don't know which one it would be, but yeah, MVS at 3,700 to catch a couple of deep balls and a touchdown. We've seen him do it before. Just something to look at.
All right, moving on to another stinker or expected stinker. Baltimore Ravens coming to Chi-Town, taking on the Bears, and what's shaping up to be probably some bad weather here as well. Looks like the Midwest is just going to be getting rain all weekend. I will start this one off just with a sleeper pick. I think Cole Kmet at 3.4K at the tight end position is a great value play. Ravens are, at least on DraftKings, ranked 25th against tight ends, and Kmet has been seeing over the last 4 games over 5 targets apiece. Justin Fields obviously likes to throw to him. Rookie quarterback. If the Bears do get into the red zone once or twice, rookie quarterback to a big target, a big tight end I like a lot. David Montgomery coming back this game too. I could see them getting him the ball, feeding him, force feeding him. So I like that play as well. Nick, you got anything on the Ravens or the Bears here?
I think Darnell Mooney has had a quietly good year. I think he's probably priced pretty nice around 5,200. But if it's going to be raining, I do like that Cole Kmet play. Kind of interested to see how Marquise Brown's injury pans out this week, because he's always a fun one.
He's not carrying an injury tag into this week.
He also has a bad matchup this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a slow ground and pound type of game. So just not one that I'm going to include a lot with some of these DFS plays.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about big tight ends and the Bears in the red zone. I mean, Jimmy Graham. No,
Oh God.
I'm kidding. It was a joke. It was a joke. Chill out. Definitely not Jimmy Graham. Did anyone else see today? Lev Bell hashtag his Twitter profile to wash basically everything that anyone said about him bad. He changed his Twitter profile and then he goes, "Did I leave anything else out?"
He's salty as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you can't really rely on any running back in the Baltimore backfield right now. It's like the retirement home of running backs just to go there. The only really thing that interests me, I didn't know there's going to be bad weather, but Rashard Bateman at 4,500 has been, since he's come back from injury, last 4 games, 6 targets, 8 targets. And it's not like he's like not doing anything with those, passes. He hasn't gotten the end zone yet this entire year. So I do like him at 4,500. It's just, if the weather is going to be bad, I still don't think Lamar Jackson is that good of a passer to, he makes plays, he extends plays, which helps his receivers. So that's something I'd maybe look at. I think he's overtaken Sammy Watkins' position because Sammy Watkins is down to 4K. But yeah, I like the Bateman play. I like the Cole Kmet. But yeah, I don't like paying up for Lamar Jackson, especially if the over-under is like 42.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah, it's just
45.
Yeah, it's just too low. It's just not a really good game to attack in this bad weather.
Yeah, I think on the Ravens side, it's Bateman and Ravens defense. So those are the 2 Ravens plays I like. I think Marquise Brown has the worst matchup against Jalen Johnson, and then is just really cheap for being the wide receiver 2 there. And yeah, but this is a game like the Ravens love to run the ball. The Bears love to run the ball. Like, this game could be one of the quickest games. I hope people play Lamar because I think he's a bad play. And then on the Bears side, nobody. I guess Cole Kmet would be the best play on the Bears in my opinion because the Ravens do give it up to the tight end quite a bit, and Cole Kmet is very cheap. He's kind of the other cheapy tight end that I was talking about with Troutman. So,
do you think Allen Robinson is the most pissed off person in the city of Chicago?
It's crazy. I love playing Robinson in DFS too, and I won't do it.
He's on a contract year, right?
Yeah, they tagged him this year, and he wanted to be traded, and they didn't trade him.
He's gone.
They definitely should have gotten something for him because he's not re-signing with the Chicago Bears next year. And he's cheaper than Mooney. I mean, he's 4,900.
It's terrible, and I can't do it. As long as Justin Fields is his quarterback, I won't play him.
Yeah.
Although, congratulations, Alex. Justin Fields is no longer the lowest QBR in the league. It's now Jared Goff. He's moving his way on up. But
as it should be.
Yeah, I think we got 3 good games to wrap up this session today. I'm really excited about this next one and my favorite running back of the week, and Joe Mixon. I think he is the perfect player for that Raiders defense who applies a lot of pressure. We know the Bengals have trouble with their offensive line too, so I think there's going to be a ton of checkdowns to him. So I really like him playing a lot of receiver type roles this game. So I'm really excited to play him. I think Waller could be a fun one. He's kind of that centerpiece of that offense, and at 6,100, I like what Patrick was saying earlier, pay for the tight ends this week. So those are my 2 favorite plays.
Yeah, you know what? If the games that we've seen Joe Burrow do very well in are the games that they keep him upright. And we're not sure because, the Raiders are really good at putting pressure on the quarterback with their 2 defensive ends who are probably top 10 in the league at what they do.
Yeah.
But if you like, when you do DFS, you have to, we've talked about before, you have to create a scenario and just think what's going to happen and just play off that, not off like the numbers next to the teams. So Joe Burrow at 6,600 is an interesting play. Just for the fact that, when he does well, I mean, he does very well. And, Jamar Chase is up at 7,200. Obviously he's the favorite target there, but I think you can almost bring it back, and play the tight end, CJ Uzma. He's 3,500, and the Raiders are one of the worst teams against defending the tight end. We saw Travis Kelce. I know Travis Kelce didn't go for, the 2 touchdowns or whatever it is, but
he did well.
He did well. He was always open in the middle of the field. So I like that play as well. If you are going to play a receiver for the Bengals, I mean, T. Higgins at 54, Tyler Boyd at 48, you got some options there. They both are averaging at least 10 points when they are playing and they're healthy. So it's just a matter of like what you think the game's going to go. So I like those 2 plays.
It's really hard not to play Jamar Chase. I find myself every week wanting to play him, but exactly what you're saying. I think Burrow's going to need a little bit of time, and I just don't think this is the game for it. So I like that mix and call, but it's so hard not to play him.
That's exactly like Nick kind of said exactly what I was going to say in regards to this game. I think Mixon, like you would think like a D-line, O-line mismatch, you wouldn't want to play the running back, but because Mixon gets involved, I think he's in play this week because you'll see Burrow just wanting to check down to him a ton, which is also why I don't like Jamar Chase this week. I've loved Jamar Chase this entire year, but Joe Burrow just is not going to have as much time. He's not going to have a clean pocket that often to throw downfield to Chase. And so T. Higgins is going to be my favorite receiver play for the Bengals. I think he's way too cheap for the opportunity he gets. Way too cheap. He's one of my favorite receiver plays. And on the Raiders side, Waller is the only, probably Waller's the only Raider I'd consider. And he's kind of a tournament leverage because people are going to play Kelce this week and people are going to play Kittle this week. And he's right in between them and he's going to go overlooked. Also because he hasn't had some big games. People are going to go through his game logs and see he hasn't really done much. So he'll be the lowest owned expensive tight end if you're looking for like a big leverage spot at that position. And Uzoma on the other side. I like that call from Corey. The Raiders are terrible against tight ends. It's how they don't give up like these big 20+ yard plays, which is why I'm not playing Chase. But Uzoma is, and also same reason why we're playing Mixon is he's going to want to get rid of the ball quicker, and he's really cheap. So
sounds like we've all concluded that the short pass is going to win this week for fantasy on the Bengals side. So out of Uzoma, T. Higgins and Mixon, like who do we think is going to come out ahead?
Yeah, because you kind of do like,
you know what I mean? Like we all
it also is in a dome.
Thing.
Remember that. I love dome games, but it's just this matchup is interesting to me because if the Raiders, because they all could just be bad plays if the Raiders do really get to them, and this is just a complete Raiders. That's why I'm still gonna sprinkle in some Raiders defense because that's gonna be my bigger hedge if the Raiders do well, because I think the Raiders could have a defensive touchdown, which is what you want. If it goes the Raiders' way, I think it's because they could get a few or at least one defensive touchdown. So I don't mind having some Raiders defense in your pool.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much covered it all there. Moving on to the second game in the afternoon slate, we've got Arizona going into Seattle. Kyler Murray trending in the right direction here. He was back at practice today in a limited fashion. I'm going to just start this off here with my lock of the week at running back. James Conner, I think, is in a absolute smash spot here. Seattle sucks against the run. And even if Kyler plays, I don't think that you're going to see much of him scrambling, running around the pocket. They're going to do their best to protect him, running a lot of play action, dump offs, handing the ball off, and for that reason. I mean, James Conner's top 10 back in the league right now, fantasy wise.
Most touchdowns, right?
Yep.
Yeah, most touchdowns. I think this is a great spot to play him. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, he's an amazing play.
Mhm.
They somehow didn't price him up after last week, and I know he didn't have a huge game or anything, but he still did all right.
Yeah.
And I think they actually made him 100 cheaper or something. And now he's in a much better spot than he was against the Panthers, who actually have a pretty solid defense against the run. Yeah, James Conner, again, this is why I'm playing 3 running backs this week. You just have, Wilson, James Conner, AJ Dillon, the Chubb, all these there's so many good running back plays again this week. So
Yeah,
what do we think is going to happen with the DK Metcalf situation? We saw him really frustrated the end of last game, getting in a fight. Do we think
No,
Russ is going to?
It's got to be fine. Like Russ,
forget looking his way? No?
Yeah, I mean, Packers defense is really good. It was freezing cold. He's coming off that finger.
Yeah.
I think it'll be all fine.
Yeah,
Lockett and Metcalf had the most unrealized air yards last week. Like the amount of air yards they got compared to their production was and that's what when you're looking at like who to play, you want to look at like players that got a ton of air yards that didn't. And that's why like Robbie Anderson, he gets so many air yards and he just doesn't do anything with it.
I think Lockett, Tyler Lockett owners in fantasy this year have to be so frustrated with the guy. He's only put up 3 games with over 10 points, given they were in the 20s. Like he's like the ultimate boomer bust play. And at 6,000, it's just so risky.
But that's why he's always a good tournament play, because he can have a 40-point game.
It feels like bait to me at this point. It's just like, oh, you want Lockett to explode.
Those are the players you look for.
It's tough.
This is I said this yesterday. This was my lock of the week. I think this is a smash spot for the Seahawks. They're at home. The conditions look like they're gonna be decent. It's not gonna be bad weather like it was in Green Bay. And I think that team is probably pretty pissed about the performance they put up. DK was pissed off. He was, trying to start fights last week. But I think, we always see that those couple games a year where Lockett and Wilson connect for like 2 or 3 deep balls a game. And I think this is the spot. I like the stack of Russell Wilson at 6,500 at home is pretty crazy. I know he's come off the finger injury, but at home, he's a different player. He's comfortable. They just always seem to be playing a lot better. And I love Tyler Lockett at 6K. I think it's a great spot to move away from DK. So those are probably, besides my Aaron Rodgers and Adam stack, this is a cheaper stack that I like just as much. And I think it's a really good spot for both of them.
Yeah, James Conner on the Cardinal side is probably the only Cardinal I like. Mm-hmm. I guess if Hopkins is out again, and only if Kyler is back, and especially since he won't run it as much, I guess Christian Kirk being so cheap, I would have interest in. But that's it on the Cardinals. And on the Seahawks, I know you don't like Metcalf, but I always prefer Metcalf to Lockett because of his talent. But I still like them both because they both have the potential to break a slate. And like we said, we were all on the Seahawks yesterday. Think they win this game.
Russ is only $6,500. Like that's pretty cheap for him too.
I mean, I don't trust him enough to play him as my QB in lineups, but I want to at least grab a piece of like one of Lockett or Metcalf as like a one, because like I can see Metcalf or Lockett having a ceiling game without Russ getting there. But I just like some of these other quarterbacks a bit more for their ceiling, and we still haven't talked about them yet.
I think you called out last week, PB, that Lockett does better in man-to-man heavy defenses. Yeah. Do we know what?
I don't know
Cardinals typically play.
Can anyone look that up? Because Metcalf has shredded zone this year, and Lockett shredded man. They have. I thought I saw a stat where it said each of them had like a perfect passer rating, like when Russ targets them in that coverage.
I thought that was a really fun fact. I'm gonna keep an eye on that through the end of this year. It's like one of those good little nuggets we could win some good money on. So
Well, we're looking that up. I don't know who said. I think it was Alex said last week. Gerald Everett as a play, he went 8 for 8, 63 yards. I understand it was checkdowns, and it's kind of. I mean, he's only 3,100. He could be looked at in the red zone a couple times. I think it's a someone that you could play as a cheap, tight end play with, most of the good tight ends being up, over 6,500. It's a decent look to maybe throw him into a couple lineups as well.
With to add to your point on that, I think that's a type of play you would only do in a Russ Wilson lineup, because because it's rare that you have you wouldn't stack like Russ with Metcalf and Lockett really. So you would do like a Russ, Metcalf, Everett stack, but I don't think I'd play Everett as like a one-off play.
No.
I think you'd include him in your stack if you play him.
Do we get clarification
On the zoner, man? Does anyone have that?
Alex moved back and forth.
No, I couldn't find it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's not. It's just it probably is not a thing that will continue. That it's just an interesting.
This is a mix.
Yeah.
In zone.
I'm just excited we saved the best game for last.
Yep, best game.
Oh, is this the last
Cowboys.
game? Is this the last one?
Yeah,
Cowboys
I think
and
you could
Chiefs.
probably play any player in this game and have a nice day.
Yeah.
All right, Alex.
It's really hard to pick between him. But I think I like CeeDee Lamb a lot. Zeke's kind of interesting too, but I think they're just going to have to pass a lot. Edwards-Hilaire's back. I think you should definitely fade that. It's pretty risky. Mari Cooper is still in the disrespectful range of 6,200. So I think that's always intriguing too.
Alex, what's your plays from this?
I think both QBs are in great positions. I know that they're a little more expensive here, not quite at the top of the list, but Mahomes at 7.6K and Dak at 7.2K. I mean, both could go for 350 and 3 touchdowns very easily. And I also do like if you do play Dak, stacking that with Amari. I think similar to the Rodgers Devontae stack. You're going to have a hard time stacking Dak and CD. So I think if you're going to do that, I would look at Amari a little bit more here. But I honestly think that you're probably going to be okay playing pretty much any of the top names in this game.
Yeah, where it gets dicey is when you get below. I mean, literally, you go from for all players, you go from the next. So Dame Williams is the cheapest, or I guess Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 5,200.
He's not going to play probably.
Okay, no, well, I'm just saying below that, you have some pretty good punt plays on each team that do get volume, and I'm not sure which one to play. So the two ones would be Michael Gallup, and then at 4,200 for Michael Gallup, and then at 4,000 you get McCold Hardman. It's what
I was saying I was going to go into McColl Hardman because I think he's a terrible play.
I think he's a terrible play. I was going to say,
do you see his snap share? How much it declined last game? Byron Pringle's playing ahead of him now.
Yeah.
Byron Pringle.
Yeah.
Yes, he's playing ahead of Hardman has not played well all year. He's not the guy that they wanted him to be, and they reduced his snap share heavily. So then Brian Pringle at 3,400. Yeah, he's a better play than.
So I'm just saying, if you weren't going to say your idea going to Sunday when you're making your lineups or whatever you do, is okay, to win money, I'm thinking that, this Dallas Cowboys Chiefs game is going to be probably the most owned players across the board. If you were to not play, anyone top tier and have the 4 bottom tier, players, which one would you play? Would you play Gallup? Would you play Pringle? Would you play, Dalton Schultz at 4,600?
No.
What's the player that you would be looking at to play?
Probably Gallup.
Yeah, it would be probably Gallup. He would probably be the best cheap option in that game. Just because, I mean, we saw him the first game back from being out. I mean, he was already super involved, and Gallup is one of the most underrated receivers in the league. He's incredible, and this game, like, this is my game right here. So whenever is this going to be a game that I know you're talking about Rodgers and Wilson? Like, are you trying to play the quarterbacks of this game, or are you trying to find the pieces that go off and not play the quarterbacks? Where are you? What's your stance on this?
I want, like, I really don't want to. I mean, I do want to play this game, but in the sense of like trying to be different is not to touch this game and go elsewhere. So I was looking at more playing the punt play just to get a little bit of pieces in this game, because you do, with, like we said earlier, the over under is 55.5. There's been numerous cases in this, like, where when that total has been the total for every like 100 games, whatever it is, it's gone under in the majority of them. I'm not saying that they're not going to like get close to that, because I think each offense has the potential to, but I think with the Chiefs secondary being a little bit more suspect than the Cowboys, I think I'd be more inclined to play Gallup and then just stay away from everyone else.
Like, just kind of saying like I'm just trying to, like, getting in your head, you're basically saying, like, if Tyreek and Kelsey both maybe get like 90 something yards and a touchdown, but they don't quite, because they're so expensive, they don't pay off their price tag. And then Mahomes is super expensive. He doesn't pay off his price tag. None of them like get there in a tournament. Yeah. That's like, yeah. I mean, yeah, that from a tournament mind, like that's a fine way to play it. But personally, I think this game is just going to be a track meet, like just back and forth all game long. I think, and I rarely like overs at that level at like 56, and I still I lean over in this spot, and that's rare for me to say. And I'm considering doing this, and I did it last week. I had some other quarterbacks in the player pool, and then an hour before I was like, who am I kidding? Dak is the play today, and I locked him into all 150 lineups. I had 75 Lamb and 75 Amari. So I ended up having a great week this last week because Lamb had a great day. But in this game, I'm considering, and I know I talked about Tyrod Taylor as like a cheap play, but I'm honestly considering playing 75 Mahomes lineup and 75 Dak lineups, and just trying to mix and match like who I stack them with, like whether it's Mahomes, Darrell Williams, Tyreek, Mahomes, Darrell Williams, Kelsey, Mahomes, Pringle, Tyreek. Like, I'm going to try to get as many combinations as I can. And I'm always going to bring it back so if I play Mahomes, Darrell Williams, Tyreek, for example, I'm always going to get a Cowboy in there. And if I play a double stack on the Cowboys, I'm always going to get a Chief in there. And that is honestly, I'm debating that being my strategy this week. And I think that's what I have to do, because this will be the highest owned game on the entire slate, right? So yeah. I have to leverage myself by playing way more than everybody else. I can't just, sprinkle in some other quarterbacks that I like and play this game, because I'm not gaining leverage on the field. I have to go so far over the field that I have so many different combinations that I'm actually leveraging the field by playing way more of these guys than everyone else. So from like a game
hope
theory,
it's not an under.
Oh yeah, if it's I'm willing, like, that, you have to like accept that on this type of stuff. Like if Dak didn't get there last week, I had 100. That's all I had, so I would have. But because he went off, that I had a $1,500 week last week, so it was a that's what you kind of sacrifice. You sometimes have really bad weeks, like I had 2 weeks ago, but. That's how I'm going to leverage this game. I can't even tell you who I think is like the best play. Like, I think they're all great. And so I just have to mix and match everything.
Nick, did you have any nuggets or anything you wanted to share about this game? I know we kind of took over and.
Yeah. I started it off. I mean, I think you can't miss on this one. So yeah.
Well, here's what I will say. If you don't play quarterbacks in this game, you need to, like Corey, if you're playing Rodgers and Russ, I think you have to get a player from this game.
No,
I don't think you
totally
full
agree.
fade it.
No, I wasn't going to full fade it. Like I said,
Okay.
but then so that was my question of like, if you had to like, just grab one. I mean, it's like we just said, you don't know where this game is going to go, especially if you think it's a track meet. I mean, this could be the Chiefs Rams game from like 2-3 years ago, prime time, where it's like 56-54. And it's just like anyone you played was a good play. And it's like, you can't go wrong. One other thing is, I just was clicking through on the Chiefs side. I know he's not who he used to be, but Andy Reid did say that he expressed to Josh Gordon that it's only a matter of time for the wideout productive member of the offense.
When did he say this?
He said this yesterday. He goes, it's a matter of time, and just expressed it's a matter of time before this wideout is a productive member of the offense. Reid also suggested Gordon needs to remain patient, but this opportunity is supposed to be on his way. Gordon did log a season high 32 snaps against the Raiders on Sunday. I mean, he only has one catch on the year. Mahomes has thrown to him a couple times.
I'll have a few Gordon lineups. I'll tell you that right now. If he actually said that, I will make sure to at least have a couple. Because
so
I'm not going to play this game and then Gordon's the one that goes off. And I'm like, I played all these lineups and I didn't have one of the pieces that went off. Like, I can't do that to myself.
There was a reason why they brought him in. I mean, obviously they needed some help at.
How old is he now?
He's 32. So I mean, he's definitely up there, but he's still like, I mean,
he definitely doesn't have the game wear on his body of a 32-year-old. So
no, he definitely doesn't. So I mean, if they
not the lungs.
Teams don't bring in players of like his caliber just to like have him sit on the bench. I know they probably give him a minimum salary, whatever it might be, because you don't trust the guy. But it is interesting to think like, okay, he's been with the team for like 5 weeks, 6 weeks now. And they've been slowly kind of getting him in there. So just something to look at if you do play a showdown slate, which I think I always play at least one showdown slate on Sunday during the day. I think this is the game to do it. There's just a lot of options that can go into that. So just be careful, like who you play at captain, because
I think you got to put a Josh Gordon captain lineup in there.
If you're talking showdown, this could be one of those games. We see it in the higher totals where you want to use probably closer to a lot of your salary, and you either punt with a $200 play or you use a cheap captain because you want to fit in a ton of studs. Like that's kind of those higher total. But for the people that don't play Mahomes and Dak, I think your best leverage is the running backs, because the pass catchers are going to be high owned with the people that play the quarterbacks. So your best leverage spots are going to be the running backs, and then like Pringle and Gallup, I guess. For
just so everyone knows, Josh Gordon is a $300 captain.
Yeah, he's 200. He's
he's cheap. All right, let's get into our locks.
Lock for the week.
Not our locks, just our favorite play at each position.
Favorite plays at each position. Okay, so starting at quarterback, I'm gonna take Rodgers. PB.
Take Rodgers.
I'm gonna take Mahomes.
I'm gonna take Nick.
Wait, did Nick say anything?
No.
I'll take Dak.
I'll take both. Okay. I like Rodgers, but I'll be different and I'll go Wilson.
Okay. Running back, Nick, who you got?
Give me I'm just gonna steal one of yours, James Conner.
Yep, that was mine as well. PB.
I'll have to go AJ Dillon here.
I want to say Jonathan Taylor just for my heart, and I think he's the best running back in the league right now in terms of stats. But I'm gonna go Chubb at 7,800. I think he's probably the best play.
Corey, run it back at wide receiver here.
Wide receiver. Let's go with. Man, you caught me off guard. I'm gonna say Thielen, just because I like the bring back in his price tag.
I'll go that same game on the other side. I'll go with Devontae. PB.
Man, I feel like going with Dylan, and now I feel like I'm the chalkiest one on here, but I think Tyreek is in such an amazing spot. I'm going to go Tyreek.
Yeah, I'm really tempted to stack someone with Dak, but I'm going to come out of left field with Robbie Anderson.
All right.
That was out of left field. Cam Newton, you're on the Cam Newton train.
Sure am.
All right.
Okay.
Finishing it
Tight
up
end.
at tight end. I said this earlier. Give me Kittle all day. Nick, who you got?
I like that we all agreed on the game script for that Cincinnati game. So give me Uzoma.
Corey?
I'm gonna go a little different here. I don't think we really touched on him, but Jasicki at 5,200. I think he's a nice play, especially under all the top tier plays.
Had a nice
And-
goose egg last week there. Whew.
I won't be completely chalky here, so I'll give my favorite sleeper tight end, and that's Adam Troutman going against the Eagles.
Nice.
All
All
right.
right, let's get
And
into it.
now we're building.
I'm pretty sure this lineup did not cash last week. Let me just double check it really quick.
Yeah, maybe we should do that. Bring up the lineup from the previous week but Alex won't be able to bring it up though. Actually,
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to.
okay.
No,
Well,
I'll-
let's just get into this one. So, who feels confident with their quarterback?
I do.
Who you want?
Give me Dak.
All right, put Dak in there.
All right.
Okay, who's next?
I'll take James Conner here.
Corey.
We're gonna need someone low here. So give me. Are we going running back right now, or I'm gonna go?
You can go
Anywhere.
anything.
I'm gonna receive. Give me Bateman here at 4,500.
PB.
Well, we're stacking Dak, so we're going Amari.
Yep. Nick.
How much is Nick Chubb?
78.
Do we like him or Mixon?
That's you.
Give me Nick Chubb.
Okay.
Jesus. All right. 4,500 per person. Go to the defenses. We'll just see what defense we can throw in there.
Or is
Yeah,
there a
I think
cheap running
let's
back
get-
that we really liked? I'm not tied to Nick Chubb. He's kind of too much.
No, I think
Well, I don't know. Honestly, the Texans at 2K, I'm gonna have some of them like against Tennessee.
they're in Tennessee though. That's the only issue. But
I don't mind. I don't mind
Alright.
the Texans at all.
let's do Texans. All right, so that gives us 5,400 per position. We need a tight end. Let's go with CJ Uzma.
Okay. Was it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we have to. If we're playing Dak, we're not getting a Chief. So
You said Pringle. Do we
I'm
do
gonna
a
go-
Josh Gordon or a Pringle maybe?
No. Let's get. I'm debating between how much. If we put Tyreek in there, how much do we have left?
45.
Okay, and if we put Darrell Williams, because I like Darrell Williams quite a bit, and it's leverage off of Mahomes teams.
That's 73, 7.3.
Ooh. So what can we fit at receiver with 73?
Kelsey.
Do you think
At receiver?
Darrell Williams is the
We're
right
at
play
the
if
receiver.
Edwards Hilaire's back?
We have one receiver
Lamar.
spot for 7,300 left.
Jamar, Hollywood, Scary Terry, DK, Thielen.
Ooh, DK. Oh man, maybe we could. Now we have more to spend on defense, so we could pretty much get any of these 6K because we said we didn't really like Brown and Chase that much, so
Yeah.
maybe we can get one of the Seattle receivers.
What if we did Lockett?
I'm fine with Lockett.
33. So we can get up to
Oh, we could get that Browns Chubb correlation against the
Yeah.
Lions.
what we think here. So we got Dak,
I like
James
it.
Conner, Nick Chubb, Shot Bateman, Cooper, Lockett, Azuma, Darrell Williams, Browns defense against those stingy Lions.
I like it.
I don't mind it. I will say I did find the lineup from last week. We had to make a late sub. So I just went into my own mind, and I put someone in for Julio at the same price, which was Cole
Julio
Beasley.
probably would have gone off too.
I know
So-
it was Cole Beasley who didn't do anything, but that lineup that we had put up 96 points. So
Yeah, it's terrible.
it was not a good day for our lineup. The Browns.
Yeah,
put-
hopefully one of these lineups that we make, like, there's not actually any people that get ruled out where it changes everything.
I mean,
It's
percent.
back-to-back weeks, right?
What?
That is back-to-back weeks. Like we had, was it 2
Yeah,
up?
back to back weeks, multiple people like go down. We had someone like changed it just last second. It wasn't even our lineup.
Yeah. So, but hopefully next week we do a little bit better in that category. But yeah, I think that that wraps it up for us.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in this week. Hope you guys have a good DFS week, and we'll see you guys next week for week 12.
Peace.
Like and subscribe.
Oh yeah, forgot. Like and subscribe.
Yes. Helps out the channel.
Yes. All right. See you guys.